What if I told you that one of the most famous musicians in history is inviting fans into his world, not through a concert, but through a conversation? At 83 years old, Paul McCartney has announced a special one-night event in London centered around his brand new album, The Boys of Dungeon Lane. And judging by the excitement surrounding the announcement, fans are treating this as something much bigger than a simple promotional appearance. The event will take place on June 10 at the legendary Roundhouse in Camden Town, London. But unlike the massive stadium shows McCartney is known for, this evening is designed to be personal, reflective, and surprisingly intimate. Instead of performing a full set of songs, McCartney will sit down in front of a live audience and tell the story behind what many critics are already calling one of his most personal albums in decades. Tickets officially went on sale on June 3 through Dice, and demand was immediate. For many fans, this may be the closest they'll ever get to hearing McCartney discuss his life, memories, and creative process in such detail. And considering that this album dives deeply into his Liverpool childhood and the years before Beatlemania changed music forever, there is a lot to talk about. According to official announcements, McCartney plans to guide the audience through the complete journey of the Boys of Dungeon Lane. The conversation will begin with his first meeting with producer Andrew Watt in 2021 and continue through the songwriting, recording sessions, artwork development, and the album's release. For fans who may not recognize the name Andrew Watt, he's become one of the most respected producers in modern rock. He previously worked on the Rolling Stones' acclaimed Hackney Diamonds album and helped produce Ozzy Osbourne's Patient Number 9. His partnership with McCartney appears to have created something unique, an album that feels nostalgic without sounding trapped in the past. What makes this event especially interesting is that attendees won't just hear stories. They'll also hear the music woven throughout the evening as McCartney explains how individual songs came together. It's a format that few artists attempt, and even fewer can pull off successfully. After more than 6 decades in the spotlight, McCartney has accumulated enough stories to fill multiple lifetimes. From Liverpool street corners to Beatles superstardom and beyond, every chapter of his career contains moments that helped shape music history. This event promises to revisit many of those moments through the lens of his newest project. So what exactly is The Boys of Dungeon Lane? Released on May 29, the album marks McCartney's first solo studio record in more than 5 years. Rather than focusing on fame, success, or life after the Beatles, the project looks backward to the years before the world knew his name. The title itself references a location connected to his childhood in Liverpool. Throughout the record, McCartney reflects on growing up in post-war England, the influence of his parents, friendships that would eventually change music history, and the ordinary experiences that shaped an extraordinary life. Critics have described the album as one of his most introspective works. Instead of trying to reinvent himself, McCartney seems comfortable simply telling stories. And that honesty may be exactly why listeners are connecting with the record. Fans online have praised tracks such as Days We Left Behind, Mountain Top, Home to Us, and We Too. Across fan communities, many listeners have described the album as emotional, reflective, and surprisingly fresh for an artist entering his 9th decade. Some longtime fans have even ranked it among their favorite solo McCartney releases in years. One of the biggest talking points surrounding The Boys of Dungeon Lane is the song Home to Us, a heartfelt duet between Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. While the two surviving Beatles have appeared on each other's projects over the years, this track has generated special attention because of its emotional subject matter. The song reflects on growing up in Liverpool, long before fame arrived. Instead of focusing on the glory years of Beatlemania, the track celebrates the neighborhoods, struggles, and friendships that existed before any record deals or screaming crowds. For fans, hearing Paul and Ringo sing together about those early days carries enormous emotional weight. After all, these are two men who experienced one of the most remarkable journeys in music history, side by side. They witnessed the rise of the Beatles, the pressures of global fame, the loss of bandmates, and the passage of decades. Yet on Home to Us, they sound less like legends and more like old friends remembering where they came from. Many fans expect McCartney to discuss the song extensively during the Roundhouse event. Questions about how the collaboration happened, why it took so long, and what it was like recording with Ringo again will almost certainly be part of the conversation. Another fascinating story behind the album involves the recording process itself. While modern technology offers endless possibilities, Andrew Watt reportedly wanted at least one song to connect directly with Beatles history. That song was We Too. According to reports, Watt pushed for the track to be recorded using the original Stutter 4-track machine associated with the Beatles' classic recording era. It's the kind of detail casual listeners might never notice, but music historians immediately appreciated. The decision wasn't about recreating the past. Instead, it was about creating a direct link between McCartney's earliest recording experiences and his latest work. Few artists have careers that stretch across so many generations of technology. McCartney recorded music when tape machines ruled the studio, adapted through the digital revolution, and continues creating music in the streaming era. That unique perspective gives the Boys of Dungeon Lane a sense of authenticity. The album isn't trying to imitate a younger version of Paul McCartney. Instead, it embraces his entire journey, allowing the past and present to exist together in the same project. The album artwork also tells an important part of the story. Designed by McCartney's nephew Josh, the cover reportedly draws inspiration from Liverpool street signs and references the L24 postcode area in Speke, the neighborhood where Paul spent much of his childhood. For many listeners outside England, Speke might sound like just another location. But for McCartney, it represents the foundation of everything that followed. Before the sold-out arenas, before the chart-topping albums, and before becoming one of the most successful songwriters in history, he was simply a young kid growing up in Liverpool. That sense of place runs throughout the album. Song after song returns to familiar streets, memories, and experiences. Instead of presenting Liverpool as a mythical location, McCartney focuses on the real city he remembers. It's one reason critics have responded so positively. Reviews have praised the record's sincerity and emotional depth. Rather than chasing trends, McCartney delivers something deeply personal. In a music industry often obsessed with reinvention, there is something refreshing about an artist choosing honesty instead. So why does this Roundhouse event matter so much? The answer is simple. Paul McCartney rarely does things like this. Fans can buy tickets to concerts, they can watch interviews online, but opportunities to hear McCartney spend an entire evening discussing a specific album, its inspirations, and the memories behind it are incredibly rare. The Roundhouse itself adds another layer of significance. Unlike giant arenas that hold tens of thousands of people, the venue offers a much more intimate atmosphere. Audience members won't simply be watching a performance, they'll be participating in a shared experience centered around storytelling. And perhaps that's what makes this event so compelling. McCartney isn't just promoting an album, he's preserving memories. The stories he'll share about Liverpool, his family, his early friendships, and the path that eventually led to the Beatles are stories that exist nowhere else. They come directly from someone who lived them. Every year, those stories become more valuable, not less. For younger fans especially, this event offers a rare opportunity to connect with living music history in a way that few artists can provide. As excitement continues to build, one thing is becoming clear. The Boys of Dungeon Lane is more than just another Paul McCartney album. It's a reflection on where everything began. It's a tribute to the people, places, and experiences that shaped one of music's greatest careers. And on June 10, fans inside London's Roundhouse will get the chance to hear that story directly from the man himself. Whether you're a lifelong Beatles fan or someone discovering McCartney's music for the first time, this event represents a unique moment. Not because of elaborate production or massive stage effects, but because of its simplicity. One artist, one audience, and a lifetime of memories. At 83 years old, Paul McCartney continues to prove that creativity doesn't have an expiration date. While many legends choose to slow down, he continues writing, recording, performing, and finding new ways to connect with fans. The Boys of Dungeon Lane may look back at the past, but it also reminds us that McCartney's story is still being written. And if this special London event is any indication, the next chapter could be just as fascinating as everything that came before. What do you think about Paul McCartney's new album and this exclusive London event? Would you attend if you had the chance? Let us know below this video.